Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video is going to be a chatty get ready with me. I have some new makeup here that I'm going to be trying out on camera, including a little teeny tiny Ulta haul. But also while I get ready, I'm going to be answering some of your questions you have about me living in Las Vegas since I have just hit my 1-year anniversary of moving here. So I wanted to give kind of a life update where I'm at 1 year after making the move from Iowa to Vegas. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, welcome. So with most of my get ready with me videos, I'm usually in like PJs and just kind of comfortable. So I just have on these shorts from Target, my slippers, and then just like a workout top since we're just getting ready together. And this is how I normally get ready. So I'm just gonna clip my hair back. But like I said, I have just reached my 1 year of living in Vegas. So I left Iowa April 11th of last year. I spent a couple nights with my friend Ashley Clady, and then I made the drive to Vegas with Aries, my dog, who's right next to me. It took us about 4 days to get out here, so we ended up getting to Vegas on April 17th. So I've been here for 1 year, and I thought it would be fun to do, again, like I said, like just a little life update, chatty get ready with me, answer questions you might have. So I asked for your questions on my Instagram, which is March Beauty Word. So if you're not following me over there, I typically post every single day. I do a lot of video demos as well, and I'm always really active in my stories. So I'm gonna link everything that I'm using down below in case I don't touch on anything. Like I said, I have some new makeup in here. I have from Saie Beauty a couple of products. I picked up a few things from Ulta Beauty that I will show you. I'm gonna use the Golden Hour palette from Dose of Colors, but I'm also gonna be focusing on chatting as well. So anything that I use is always listed in my description box. And I do like to say that I use affiliate links. So if you use those, I thank you so much for your support. And as always, if you are new here, if you're not subscribed yet, I hope that you will. I post about 4 to 5 times a week, including a live chat on Saturdays. And I always say that I just like to talk about makeup, try makeup, and chat about all things beauty. So let me go ahead and add my primer, and then I will zoom you in. All right, my allergies are pretty wicked today. So man, I'm taking Claritin like 2 to 3 times a day. I did not have allergies when I first moved here last year, which my allergist had said I probably won't for a year as my body like readjusts, because I've always had seasonal allergies, hay fever, that sort of thing. So he said I'll probably get a year reprieve, and sure enough, I did. It was glorious because I've had allergies since I was a young child. It was so glorious not having them, and now they are back. I'm like, wow, like my eyes are kind of watering. So, you know, we're just gonna make it through. I also just got my nails done. How cute are these? They were so fun for summer. So I'm gonna be using the Rare Beauty Tinted Moisturizer. I did receive this in PR. This is shade 32N. I am going to be filming a video ranking all of the new complexion products, foundations, skin tints, that sort of thing. I've been trying out quite a few. I've purchased quite a few. I've gotten some gifted to me that I've been testing out. And I feel like I have a pretty good handle on everything except for the Rare Beauty. The shade matching is not the best for me, so I haven't been wearing it a whole lot, but I want to still be able to put it in my review video. So I was like, that's the only one that I feel like I didn't have the best handle on. So we're gonna go ahead and try this one. And I don't think I've demoed it on YouTube yet. I know that I have on my Instagram. Like I said, I wanted to answer some of your questions. So one that I see is, why did you choose not to move closer to your family? So at the time that I moved, my mom and sister were both living in Alabama. My little brother does and still does live in Iowa. My mom has recently moved to Iowa. So the only other place I'd either be staying in Iowa or moving to Alabama, which I don't feel any sort of way about Alabama. So my family was Army for most of my life. My sister married into the Army when I was 11 years old, and she moved away. And then when I was in college, my mom joined them because my brother-in-law was often deployed and my sister had young kids. So my mom has lived away from me since I was 18. So I'm just kind of used to not having family close by. I had my ex-husband's family in Iowa, and the last couple of years we lived in the same city as them, so that was nice. But like living really close to my family hasn't been it's not something that I'm used to, and I didn't feel like it was something that I absolutely needed, especially at this time in my life, not having, you know, children of my own or, you know, things like that. And I really just wanted to do something for me and live in a place where I knew that I would feel happy. And I've wanted to live in Las Vegas for such a long time. It's always been one of my favorite places to go. But also living here, like, obviously so many people visit you. My brother is what, 31. He's never ever been to Vegas, and you know, he came out here to visit me. My mom's been out here a couple times. My aunts come out here. You know, I'm trying to get my sister out here as well, but people visit you, so it doesn't you know, doesn't seem so lonely. I'm also gonna use the LYS Concealer. I've really been liking this one. I bought this during the Sephora sale, and I think it's great. Another question is, do you feel your mood has changed or improved with the 24/7 sunshine? Absolutely. I think that's such a huge thing here, and I was actually talking about it with a friend of mine who was from Michigan, and he was saying how it's made such a difference for him as well, because we're used to days without any sun, you know, in the Midwest during the winter. And it's hard to not see sunshine for weeks at a time. Whereas here, it's even the times where it was a little bit colder during the winter months, we would still get sunshine. It really, I do think, has made a huge difference. The weather in general has made a big improvement for me. It was another reason why I did want to leave Iowa, is because I never liked the weather. Like, I know there's people that love snow and love that winter time, and I was never one of them, never. So yes, weather here is fabulous. I also say that as it's 97 degrees outside, but I love the heat, I'm not complaining. What is my favorite restaurant in Vegas? I get asked about recommendations for Vegas all of the time. I will say, I know not everyone loves TikTok, but if you have it, I post a lot of recommendations over there. I post a lot of, whenever I go pretty much anywhere to eat, I'm recording it and I film a TikTok either all about that one place, or like I do different things like best places to go with your girlfriends, best places to go on date nights, best places for sushi. You can always check that out. It's just by Samantha March. I definitely do a lot of Vegas recommendations. Just today I did one on a place where I got a great pedicure, and I did another one on a restaurant called Skinny Fats, which I ate at for the first time and loved it. I did that yesterday. So I do definitely post a lot over there. Also in my Instagram, I do have a highlight that says, I think it's 2022 food, and I post everywhere that I'm eating in Vegas because that's really fun for me. But when it comes to like my favorite restaurant, like I don't really go to the Strip or downtown all that much unless it's like a special event or someone's visiting, and I just kind of eat at a lot of the same places around here. There's a Nacho Daddy that I really like for their nachos, obviously. There's also a place called Pinchi's Tacos, and I really like their taquitos. Their nachos are really good. Like little places that are around here, I have a lot of favorite sushi places. Blue Bay, I love sushi, Kaizen, Sea Salt I went to the other night, and Sea Salt has amazing sushi. It's just kind of slightly off the Strip, but there's some really nice places on the Strip. I feel like Cosmo and Aria has a lot of good places. We've been to like Barry's Steakhouse in Circa downtown. That was really good. Prime Steakhouse at the Bellagio is beautiful, and if you sit outside there, it's these fountains. Lakeside at the Wynn I've been to with Risa and Michelle, and that's really nice. And then recently we went to Cut in the Venetian, and also X-Pot in the Venetian, if you're looking for like recommendations on the Strip. Those are both really cool. One's a steakhouse, one is a hot pot, so you make everything like in front of you. Like I said, I popped into Ulta Beauty yesterday. I wanted to find, I'm planning to do a drugstore video shortly, so I wanted to buy a couple of the new products. I was really trying to find the new L'Oreal bronzers, but apparently they're not in store. I went to Target today, couldn't find them, so I don't know. I'm either gonna try to order it online, or I don't know. I just wanted a new drugstore bronzer. But I did get the new e.l.f. Camo Powder foundation. They were really limited in shades, which I'm bummed about. I ended up getting 240W, which I'm usually neutral, but they really, I think they had 4 shades in Ulta Beauty, so I was bummed about that because I know that there's more shades to the line, but we're gonna go ahead and try it. I'm not sure. I already feel like the Rare Beauty Tinted Moisturizer is a little bit warm for my skin, but we'll give it a shot. I've been hearing a lot of people like this, and I've been meaning to pick this up. It says buildable full coverage semi-matte finish. So I'm gonna try it for my under eyes and my face just to see. It's gonna be my first time using it, but we'll just go ahead and see. You guys know that I love the Dior Powder No Powder. Obviously I love Charlotte Tilbury. Is there a puff? Oh, there's a little puff under here. I don't think I'm gonna use that though, but you know, that's cute. You know, those are some of my favorite, but I would really love to find like a balm Drugstore powder, and I've been hearing a lot of people recommend this. So I'm first gonna use a Real Techniques brush, and I'm gonna set this on my under eyes. Again, not sure, I'm not planning to do anything tonight, which is probably good, even though it's a Friday that I'm filming. It's like, I have no idea how this makeup is about to turn out, especially with shade matching. So we're just gonna give it a shot here. Okay, I just really lightly kind of tapped some powder down on this side, but can you see? Wow, that looks really nice. It was so smooth. Okay, wow. Okay, I truly just sneezed like 16 times, so this is awesome. Oh man, do not miss allergies at all, but this is great, at least for the under eyes. That is so, wow. I'm at first impression, I'm very impressed with this. And then I do want to try to set it on my face as well. I don't know, the shade match I'm a little bit nervous about because I could tell that it's obviously kind of warmer, but I'm just gonna kind of lightly tap over the skin. Wow. What the heck? This is so nice. Did you see how, because the Tinted Moisturizer is pretty light coverage, like you could see my acne scars and the redness. That really, oh. Okay, okay, Elle, okay. My skin looks so smooth right now. Oh, I'm so mad that I didn't grab this one sooner. All right, I'm liking it. I don't even mind, at least right now. I don't even mind, like I think the shade match is fine. Yes, oh I love when this happens. All right, I kind of spaced that I was gonna use a liquid blush. I've been trying out the Tinted Moisturizer blushes from Mercier. I'm gonna use the shade Corsica, but I've used this over powder before and it really hasn't been too bad. So I'm just gonna apply it to the back of my hand first and then pick it up with my sponge. I've been liking these though. I've seen a lot of people apply with their fingers and I just like could not get that to work, but I feel like with a sponge, it's worked pretty decent. I saw another question come in of, do I feel like I'm at home? And I definitely do. Something about Las Vegas has just always called out to me even before I came here. I read the Lucky series from one of my favorite authors, Jackie Collins, and I was like, this city of Las Vegas just sounds so glamorous, so kind of has like this cool kind of like vintage feel to it, like old school Vegas. I so wish I could see. That's why I also love still going downtown and seeing like the lights of the casinos down there versus the lights at the Strip. I think are so neat. I loved the vibes of it, and when I came here for the first time, I was completely overwhelmed. I was 22 years old. I was completely overwhelmed, but I loved it, and I just kept coming back, and I kept coming back. And it's one of those places, like I hear a lot of people describe New York this way, that they're like, I go and just the energy of the city and it feels different and all of that. That's how I feel about Vegas. And I looked, you know, obviously I thought about New York, I thought about LA for career reasons. I did go to Arizona and stayed there for a while thinking maybe Arizona I might move to, but nothing gave me that feeling like Vegas does. Obviously Vegas is not for everybody. I know people who have lived here and they were just like, you know, this is not for me. And that's totally fine. You have to find the place that makes you feel at home and that makes you so happy and that you feel connected to. And that's how I personally feel about Las Vegas. I love that I live in the suburbs. I live in a very quiet section of Las Vegas. It's very normal, but I can drive 15 minutes and be at the Strip. I can drive 25 minutes and be in downtown Las Vegas. There's always entertainment stuff to do if you want to do it, or I can hang out in my apartment as well with my dog and chill in my yard. And I love it so much. I don't know how else to explain it, but I feel at home here. You know, I posted a picture. I was at the Cosmo the other night on the 57th floor overlooking the Bellagio fountains, and it was so beautiful. And it was at night, and I took a picture of the lights and I posted it to my Instagram, and it just said, my city, because that's how I feel. Like, this is my city. I know I've only been here a year, but that's how Vegas makes me feel, and I love it. I'm gonna use the One Size Trio. I'm really just gonna use bronzer out of here today. I think I'm just gonna use the lightest shade right down here. And then I have definitely gotten a lot of questions on my dating life, if I'm dating again, if I'm in a relationship, just different things like that. And You know, I have gone on dates, and I haven't gone on like dating apps. That hasn't really been my thing yet, but I've gone on dates, some good, some not so good. I've met some guys, some good, some not so good. Obviously it's a very different experience dating again, since my last first date was when I was 19 years old and I'm now 35. So, you know, that's always like very strange, but also for the most part, I don't really plan to talk a lot about my dating life. It's something that I just like to keep a little bit more private. Again, sometimes if you follow me on TikTok, you might get like a clue or two or a hint or two of different things about my life. But you know, even with my marriage, Mitch was never on my channel. I very rarely like shared him on mine, just because I share so much of my life online, so much. And there are some things that you just want to be kept private just for the sake of having something that's private. And that's kind of how I feel about dating. And I just don't think, you know, obviously I'll never say never, but I just can't really see myself as like bringing somebody online. So I think I'm gonna carry the same energy that I had with my marriage into my dating life. Again, you know, maybe like some sneak peeks here and there and that sort of thing, but that's probably gonna be about it. So another new product that I bought, and I'm like, Samantha, what are you doing? This is from NYX. This is the Thick It Stick It thickening brow mascara. Vegan formula with hair-like fibers. Okay, I don't know, I've been seeing everybody recommend this, and I think this is the one that did Angie use this on me when she did my makeup? I don't know, I feel like she said that she really liked this one. I'm like, you know, I like to say that I do more of like the everyday, kind of like more simplistic makeup. I like to mix in color, do like everyday wearable, quote, 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 type of looks, but with color I think is fun. But I'm also just not the best, and makeup doesn't come easily to me. Even though I've been on YouTube making makeup videos since 2015, 2016, and I've been reviewing makeup products on my blog since 2009, makeup doesn't come naturally to me. It doesn't come easily to me. That's why I was turning to online, and once I found like tutorials on there, that's what really opened things up for me. I have a hard time with products like this, but I used one the other day from Persona Cosmetics. What video was it? It might have been my Winnie the Pooh video with Colourpop, because I was just sitting down just to film that collection, and then I was taking my makeup off, and I saw a lot of people compliment my brows, so I'm like, okay, let's try it. So I got the shade Taupe. I just don't know how this is gonna go. Again, I'm really glad I don't have anything to do tonight. So here's what it looks like. So I watched a video prior to this, and what I saw her do, she kind of like was very messy, kind of like going like this, and she said she was making sure like all the fibers got off the brush and onto her brows, right? Okay. Actually, I feel like that looks kind of good just by doing that. That was okay. It was pretty easy. Let me try again. So then after she did that, she said that she went just kind of like straight up and then went through again, but kind of like angled it a little bit here. What the heck? That was so fast. This is also my good brow. Keep that in mind. This one is my good brow. It's a little bit more, like I have brows, and this brow is a little bit more like, I have more brow and it's a little bit more structured. So it's usually a little bit easier for me to do. So I feel like I might have some like false confidence going into my other brow. But wow, that really was easy. That looks really nice. Stop. That looks really good. Okay, all right, but here's the true test. Here's the true test. The other brow. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this brow is going so smoothly as well. What? This brow I always have so much trouble with. This one is kind of harder for me to do the front because it has more of like a sharp angle, whereas this one doesn't. So sometimes it's a little bit harder for me to do, but like, what? I'm pleasantly surprised right now. All right, brows are done. Super simple, super quick. I'm a little shook. I'm so shook I just sneezed like another 10 times. That's how shook I am. I'm just gonna spray my face a little bit though, but I can't believe I could figure that out so easily. I thought for sure that was gonna be a disaster. Move on to my eyes. I'm going to use the Dose of Color Golden Hour palette. I do have a demo with this one on my Instagram, but I just want to do something. I know I say simple and basic quite a bit, but especially with how bad my allergies are today, I just can't imagine like trying to put a ton into an eye look because my watery eyes are like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to wear makeup all day because they are so bad right now. I'm like struggling to breathe. I got this from the Dose of Colors website. It was $32. It does come with the double-ended brush, but it's in my dirty brush pile. I finally just washed some of my brushes the other day, so I felt very proud of myself. So I'm gonna use the BK Beauty 202. Again, everything that I use will be linked. But let me jump back into some questions here. How do I feel about my housing? Stay put or get more space for me and Aries? I'm gonna be staying in my apartment for at least another year. So I did re-sign my lease for another year here. The housing market is pretty insane right now. Waiting to be able to buy a house until obviously my old house in Iowa sold, which was, we closed on that in February, and then also for the divorce being final, which happened just a couple weeks ago. So, you know, I was waiting on that kind of stuff before I could move forward, but I would love to get a house. It's just, it's really, I mean, it's just, to me, it's a challenge right now. I don't mind staying here for another year. There's a lot here that is offered, which is great, and I have a lot of my friends nearby, which, you know, is still something that's really helpful to me to have people close by. But one day I am planning to stay in Vegas. I saw a lot of those questions too of if I'm staying here, and I don't see myself moving out of Vegas anytime soon, so I will be here for a while. Another question, is there anything you miss about the Midwest? I know it's definitely not the weather. That's funny. You know, every once in a while there's like, I miss my garden that I had. I never thought I would be someone that was into gardening, but when I lived in my last house in Iowa, there was already a garden, like an area for a garden. So me and my ex had a nice little garden. It was so cool because at lunch I would go out and I would pick my lettuce and a pepper and green onions and spinach, and then I'd come in and make my salad, and I really enjoyed that. So I do miss that. I've been looking up different things that I could plant here and that you can make work with, you know, being in the desert. Never really felt like I fit into the Midwest, and I know some people sometimes take like huge offense when I say that, and it's not anything against anybody. I just felt like I didn't fit in to the Midwest, and I've always felt that way. Huge reason why I started my blog in 09. I never felt like I fit in. Like I said, it was never my plan to stay in Iowa. I just, you know, met the man that I eventually married, so, and he wanted to stay, so that's why I stayed. It's just nice being somewhere where you can feel a little bit more like yourself or feel a little bit more accepted, that's all. Now this question was, how much longer do you think you'll stay in Vegas? Any plans to move anywhere else in the States? Yeah, I don't have plans to move anywhere else, but you know, never say never, but I think I'll be here for the foreseeable future. Do you have friends in Vegas before moving? If not, how did you meet new friends? I knew Michelle and Risa and Annette's Makeup Corner before I moved out here, and you know, I'd met up with them a time or two in Vegas prior to moving, so I knew them, but other than that I didn't know anybody else, and so that was pretty daunting. But where I moved is a very social place. Like we have a social calendar every single month, and they're very focused on like doing things together. Like people have described my apartment complex as like Melrose Place, Real World, and I totally see it. Like we're a big melting pot of just a bunch of different people, different interests, different backgrounds, different careers, different lifestyles, everything. But a lot of us are very close, and that's how I've met the majority of my friends here have been through living here. So I'm very grateful for that. This was the very last place that I looked at in Vegas. I was actually with Michelle because I'd come out here for a week in February looking for places, and my mom was with me the first few days, and we went to apartment after condo after apartment, and I was just like, oh my gosh, no, none of this, ew. Like my mom was like, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, I don't know, I didn't think it'd be so hard to find a place that would work for me and Aries, but it really was so difficult. And on the last day, my mom had already left. Michelle came to, I think we went to 3 different apartment complexes, and this was our last one, and even Michelle was like, yeah, and I was like, yeah. So that's how I ended up here, and it's been really special. A lot of us are going through something, we're running to something, we're running from something, and we've really been able to bond over our experiences. A lot of us are very similar in age, that sort of thing. We've been able to bond and really help each other. I've noticed a lot of people that live here that I've gravitated towards are really invested in being their best versions of themselves, and we have a lot of very deep, insightful, intellectual conversations on how we can be better people. A lot of us are we've gotten very into being like, hey, you did this and that wasn't okay, it made me feel this way, I think you need to watch out for this, I think you need to, and like we're just all very open and honest with one another, and I feel like it's really helped my personal growth for sure. So that's been a really cool thing. I don't feel like it's been a lot of superficial type of relationships. It's people who are genuinely, like, we believe that we found each other at this time so we can help each other. And that's a really special thing to me. I love that I had considered putting on lashes today. Like, there would be absolutely no shot of that happening. I have a favorite performance that I have seen. You know, I actually haven't been to a whole lot of shows yet, but I did just see John Legend in concert last weekend. And that was so good. I can't say I'm a huge, you know, John Legend fan. Like, I didn't know all of the songs, but it was so high energy. His dancers were just on another level. His like backup singers were incredible. And it was just such a fun show. Like, the audience was very into like getting up and dancing in their seats and dancing in the aisles even. And it was like everyone was just having a good time and just excited to be there and dance, and it was really fun. It was at the Zappos Theater. I had such a good time. There was a group of 6 of us that went from the complex, and we had a really good time. What is the same that I expected and what is different? That's a good question. So, you know, I figured there would be like a more fast-paced lifestyle, and that definitely is true. I genuinely think of myself sometimes as a little naive. I think that I am still very like street smart. Like, I had to grow up at a very young age through some of the situations that I've been through, so I think I'm pretty like street smart in that sense. But sometimes I can be a little bit naive, especially because I think so positively. Like, I look at any situation, I enter any situation with such a positive attitude that sometimes it can slightly backfire on me because I might not be as aware of like danger, red flags, that sort of thing, if that makes sense. And I remember first moving here and meeting people, and I knew there was going to be more of a focus on like networking and that sort of thing, but I didn't think it would be to the point of living in like LA, where it's like, that's kind of all the times that I visited LA, it's like I kind of get that vibe of like, okay, what can you do for me type of thing. And I figured Vegas could be like that, but maybe not as much as LA. And I guess maybe I'm a little bit surprised at, there are some people that will come up, and what I can appreciate is that they will be very upfront and like, I heard that you do social media, I want your help with this. Would you consider posting me? Would you consider doing my, you know, sharing about my product? There was definitely a lot of that in the beginning, and I was like, whoa, like, wowzers. So I don't think I was maybe quite expecting that. That was something that was a little bit different to me. And then of course I also had to find those people that weren't upfront about their intentions and kind of like pretended to be my friend, because then they wanted other things, which, you know, it is what it is, and you learn your lessons and it's fine. I would prefer that people come up and they're like, hey, this is, you know, what I want, can you help me? It's just the communication, the honesty, I would prefer. I'd say that I was a little bit concerned of like cost of living here and if it would be super expensive. And I remember when I did an assumptions video about Vegas, like so many assumptions came in of, you spend so much more money here, you spend beyond your means here, you know, you can't do certain things because you spend too much money in other areas and that sort of thing. So I was really, especially when I was focusing on financials and my budget, I was like trying to really prepare for an exorbitant amount in either just going out, but even something like going out to eat, or clothing, or groceries, or gas, or different things like that. Like, I was just really thinking it was going to be so expensive to live in Las Vegas, and for me it really has not been. Now, I'm also not someone that goes out all the time. I work a lot, definitely here a lot, And the complex, you know, I've seen the Reddit threads, like, we see you all, but saying about like where I live and how expensive it is and how, you know, why people care how much I pay in rent, I don't know. But it's so funny because I actually did a TikTok series of how much I spend in a day living in Las Vegas, and I did it for a week. And I had put in there the breakdown of my rent and utilities and things like that by the day. And as I'm going through and I'm sharing what comes with my apartment, the fitness classes, the gym, meals, drinks, the pool, the activities that we do, people are like, on TikTok, people are like, you only pay that much and you get all of those things. You get tacos and margaritas every single Tuesday included in your rent. You get a happy hour every single Friday. You get a brunch with mimosas included every single Sunday. You get this gym, you get these classes. What? And I'm like, yeah. It's actually, especially because of what we have included in our rent, like, which is kind of gives you that college feel. To me, it's like, okay, so I don't have to go out to eat as much. I don't have to cook as many groceries because I can just go down there. Like, that has really, really helped when it comes to budgeting. There's definitely areas where I spend more here than I would have in Iowa, but for the most part, I think I was expecting it to be so much more for cost of living. There is also the added benefit of no state income tax, which is another reason why I chose Nevada, because I am fully self-employed, and that is a huge part for being a business owner. So, you know, we've had that, especially with tax time coming. Like, I'm always so prepared to write checks to the state of Iowa. And I was like, wait, how much do I owe for Nevada? And I was like, oh wait, no state tax. So, you know, there's like the little benefits there, but I'm not someone who goes out every night. I don't do any extracurricular activities. I'm also not a big drinker. It's so funny. One of my friends said to me the other day, I can't even remember what I said, but he goes, yeah, you also don't get along well with alcohol. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I thought he was saying like you like are not a good drinker, like you don't handle your alcohol well, I thought is what he was saying. But he's like, you don't really like alcohol. And I was like, yeah, I know. Like, it's so funny to me that people think because you live in a place like Las Vegas, you're a drug addict, you have to be a stripper, you have to be an alcoholic, you have to be an escort, you have to be a bottle girl, you have to be a dancer, you have to be like all of these different things. And he was like, you don't really like alcohol. And I was like, yeah, like I like my low alcohol percentage, still a rose of wine. I think I went out to eat, especially for a while there, but I've kind of calmed that down, and I've gone through some health things which kind of helped me actually, you know, stop going out to eat quite as much. I went back to more of like my meal prepping like I did in Iowa. Like, I used to make the chicken in the crock pot, and I would have my salads every day. I kind of went back to that with like my chicken and rice bowls, my salmon and rice bowls, and that sort of thing. I think I expected to spend a lot more money, but the biggest expenses that I have right now is my business and all the fees that come along with that, and the inventory. That's definitely my biggest expense. This next question is pros and cons of living in Vegas, which I feel like I've kind of touched on some. Like, I definitely feel like pros are, to me, you know, I can really only compare it to the Midwest. And again, I don't mean to say this in a negative way, but in the Midwest, to me, kind of the mentality was a lot of people were trying to be similar to others. Like, people would have the same style of house, the same kind of vehicle, the same jobs, and if you were different, people would look at you very strange. Like, me being in social media, that was always such a strange thing to people. Like, they like could not figure it out. Whereas in Vegas, everyone is so different because not a lot of people are local to Vegas. I mean, there's definitely locals, but there's not a lot of people that are local here, and we're coming from somewhere else, and our differences are celebrated here. And that's what I think is so cool. To me, there's really not a lot of judgment in Las Vegas. There is, and it happens, and it's there. But from what I have seen, there's not, like, people just don't really care because they're doing their own thing. And like, you do your own thing, I'll do my own thing, and that's cool. Like, we don't have to try to be like one another. And I think that's a really neat thing. So I think that's a pro. Always a plethora to do here if you wanted to, but there's also a lot of really nice suburbs if you want something quieter, if you have a family. Gas is pretty expensive, I will say. You know, the gas prices have been creeping up everywhere, but gas is pretty expensive in Vegas. It makes me glad that I don't really drive a whole lot of places. There's some great, you know, hiking areas if you like being in the outdoors. Like, I love going on hikes. I love going for long walks with Aries. We have a lot of those options here, which is great. Obviously a ton of food. Shows. It's also just like, you never really know what's gonna happen. We had a Raiders player at our pool the other day in the complex. I went golfing and met the owner of one of the biggest nightclubs in Vegas. Like I was like, what's happening here? Like you never know who you're gonna run into. There was a night me and my girlfriend were out at a club and we got put at the New England Patriots table and we were meeting the Pro Bowlers from the Patriots, and I was like, what? How is this life? So there's just always something to do. You know, the tickets that we got for John Legends were VIP seats, and we got them from a friend at the complex because there's like connections everywhere, which I think is really cool. So it's like you never know what's gonna happen here, and I think that's really exciting and really fun. And especially with what I do, there's so much support here and people offering to take pictures. There's obviously content, like I'm on content overload here, which is awesome. The biggest things that I say about Vegas, and I started saying this the moment that I moved here, I very quickly realized that, is if you have any sort of bad habits and you don't have a lot of self-control or boundaries that you can put into place for yourself, the exact verbiage I said was, this city will crack you like a twig. Like it will eat you up and spit you out, because there is so much freedom in Las Vegas, which is awesome. But at the same time, if you can't handle it, they're gonna go south for you. And I watched them go south from people weeks after moving here, and I was like, wow. So, you know, that's definitely a thing. There's temptation everywhere. There's, if you, like I said, if you just have any sort of bad habits, addictions, anything like that, this is gonna be a really, really hard city for you to live in, so I would not suggest it. I got a couple products from Saie Beauty. I did do a demo on my Instagram with their Tinted SPF, a liquid blush, and then also the mascara. I don't have another new mascara, so I am gonna use this one. I did notice, I'm gonna do top and bottom lashes, but I did notice after a few hours, the mascara on the lower lashes had really transferred. But other than that, I thought it was pretty. I see some questions on the strip, like how often do you go to the strip and do I live really close? I live about 15 minutes away, 15-20 minutes, depending on what side of the strip I'm going to. And how often do I go? Maybe a couple times a month if there's like a restaurant we're trying out for foodie group, or like a show, or you know, every once in a while I do go to a club if there's someone that I want to see perform. Like I've seen Ludacris, that was so much fun. Or if someone is visiting, you know, we usually end up on the strip with them and doing those activities. Just go there just to go there. I did when I first moved because I was like, wow, this is so cool. And now I'm like, wow, that's really overwhelming. Okay, so here's the Saie Mascara. Like I think that looks really pretty. I got 2 coats over here, just the bottom lashes over here. I think it's pretty, definitely elongates the lashes. It almost feels really like in between of a dry and a wet formula, which is kind of interesting, but I've been liking it. Would you do anything differently your first year in Vegas? That's a good question. You know, it's funny because I was talking about this with my friends the other day, and we were saying a lot of us who moved here into this complex, this was us moving to Las Vegas, and this is where we moved to. So a lot of us, it's been our first year. And, you know, my friend was saying, I think when we moved here, we all sprinted. And we've realized that living in Las Vegas is like a marathon, it's not a sprint. And I was like, I sprinted when I first got here. I wanted to do everything, I wanted to see everything, I wanted to experience everything, I wanted to meet all the people, I wanted to have all the experiences. Now, this was also coming out of COVID and coming out of quarantine. Obviously, it's coming out of a marriage. So ready to do anything and everything. It was so hard for me to say no. I don't know though if I would necessarily say I wish that I didn't do that, because I feel like I also had to go through, you know, when you go through a big breakup or a big change, it's like you just feel like you kind of need to like do all of the things, and then life starts to calm down for you again and you go back to your routine and you go back to normal. I don't think I necessarily regret anything, and like, yeah, there was a few nights where I like got home and the sun was coming up and I was like, wow, like that's a vibe. But you know, I don't have any bad stories, which I'm super grateful for. I'm super grateful for, especially, you know, being a woman. So yeah, I would say after I sprinted, I've slowed down to like a light jog. I still like to do things. I still, you know, like to say yes to different things. I don't feel that like pressure. And I think I wasn't sure when I moved here. I think a part of me like doing everything was also of like, I don't know if I'm gonna stay in Las Vegas, so I really need to take every opportunity to do everything. And now I know that I am staying here, because of course when you move to a new place, even if you think you're gonna love it and you've been there before and you think it's gonna work out for you, you don't know until you get there. So it was like, I might move to Las Vegas and absolutely hate it, I don't know. But I know that I'm gonna be staying here, so now I don't feel like that desire to have to do something all of the time. And now I'm much more back to my like, I'm in bed at 9 o'clock type of thing. But I still like to go out every once in a while. Like, I'm still fun. that's still fun, okay? Like, I'm a good time, I like to think. The other thing that I would say is letting people in. I'm very open. I'm very much an open book. I'm that way online and I'm that way in person. You know, people ask me questions and I have a desire to talk about my situations and to be more personal with people. That's a part of my personality. And, you know, unfortunately, I feel like I probably opened up to some people in Vegas in the beginning that I wish that I hadn't. And that's just part of the territory though. It comes with meeting new people and being in a new setting and learning new things. And like I referenced in the beginning, realizing that, you know, some people are kind of using me or different things like that. And I'm like, man, I wish I hadn't talked about some things, but you know, it is what it is. It's all a learning lesson. I wouldn't really say I have any like regrets, but you know, it's all good. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot this past year and I feel like I've really grown a lot too. So here is the Saie Beauty mascara. I think that looks really beautiful. I'm gonna use the liquid highlight from Ofra. I've been really, really liking this one. I use the shade Monroe. And again, I'm just putting a little bit on the back of my hand and I'm gonna pick up with my sponge, but yeah, I think this one is really pretty. This is what was one thing that you can't believe you did when you moved. Happy story, please. Honestly, like I've had so many cool experiences here that I'm like, I can't believe this happened, but one. So I mentioned the New England Patriots table, right? Like I was like, oh my gosh, can't believe that happened. So wild, wow. Like look how beautiful, like this is so stunning and so easy to use. Boom, done, beautiful. So one night, my girlfriend and I went out and we were like, okay, let's go out. Lil Jon is performing. We really want to see Lil Jon. Again, like I'll go out if there's someone that I really want to see. And I'm like, yes, I want to see Lil Jon. Alex and I go to Hakkasan and after we get in and we're kind of standing there trying to decide like what it is we want to do, one of the workers comes up and says, do you girls want to go to a table? And we're like, yeah. And so he's like, all right, follow me. And so we start to follow him and over his shoulder he goes, so Lil Jon will show up in 10 minutes and you know, like have some drinks, just have fun, whatever. And we're like, what? What's he talking about? So we go to a table that's all girls, you know, has their own waitress there as well. She pours us a drink, we're standing there and I'm like looking around and Alex goes, we're at Lil Jon's table, aren't we? I was like, we're at Lil Jon's table. Oh God. And sure enough, here comes Lil Jon right freaking in front of me. Right in front of me is Lil Jon and I'm like, oh my gosh. So everyone's looking at our table. There's cameras everywhere. I saw a TikTok or an Instagram video maybe that Hakkasan posted being like, oh, Lil Jon's coming back. There I am in the video because I'm right in front of Lil Jon. I'm like, how is this happening? The video, and he's like got his bottle of whatever it is that he drinks and he's like pouring it in people's mouths and I'm right there and he like holds the bottle out and I'm like, no, no, I'm like, no, thank you, Lil Jon, sir, but I'm not gonna take that. So that was quite funny. That was so wild. And like Alex and I will go out and then we just come home with these crazy stories that we're like, how did this happen? We met Emmett Smith. We got taken to Emmett Smith's table. We were at the New England Patriots table. We got taken to Lil Jon's table. We're like, how is this happening to us? We have so much fun when we go out together and it's just always like an epic time. Always just an epic time. I don't know how it happened. I love this question of what would you say is the real Vegas versus tourist Vegas image. You know, to me, like real Vegas is what you see in the suburbs. I mean, it's such a normal town here. It's so normal. The grocery stores, the schools. I mean, I walk areas every morning. We walk by the kids waiting for the school bus, the farmer's market down the street, the grocery stores. All of that is normal, but there's a different sense to it of you never know who you're gonna meet or what their story is gonna be or where they work. You know, a lot of places are open 24/7. So many people work in the entertainment business or on the strip and they have different hours, so a lot of things are 24/7. The tourist Vegas would be the strip and downtown Las Vegas and that sort of thing. And when you come to Vegas and you think lights, casinos, clubs, drinking, the partying, the shows, the entertainment, the food, like all of that is so fun. But if you live here, it's like, I'm not going to the strip every night. I'm not going to a casino every night. I'm not going out to eat every night. I'm not leaving my apartment every night, you know? It's very normal here, which I love. I think it's really cool. It's a very, I want to say like the word is like there's a really cool duality to Vegas. And you can be whatever you want to be here. You can do whatever you want to do here. There's opportunities everywhere if you want it. And I think that's really neat. All right, my lip combo, I'm obsessed with the Essence lip liner, so I'm gonna use the shade Curious. And then I also got from Essence their Extreme Shine Volume Glosses. So I'm gonna give one a shot, and this is in the shade Gold Dust. I got a question of, do I gamble? I will usually, once again, if someone's visiting me from out of town and that's what they wanna do, sure. Or every once in a while, someone will be like, hey, we're gonna pop down to, usually not something on the strip, but there's, you know, casinos elsewhere in Vegas. I mean, you can gamble in the grocery store. You can gamble at CVS. There's slot machines in there. This might be like a fact about Vegas that you don't know. Even in the suburbs, in the grocery stores, there are slot machines. Some friends that go on a little bit more of a regular basis. That's not really for me. I don't like to just do it. I also don't like to be by smoke. It's funny because as I'm filming this, I actually did go to a casino last night with my friends, and I woke up and I was like my throat was so dry from the smoke. Not a big, I wouldn't say that I'm a big gambler, mostly because I get bored easily and I'd rather be like doing something more productive. I like this question of, what is the biggest, most important lesson you have learned this last year? I learned a lot about myself. There's been so much personal growth this past year. I've really learned how to advocate for myself. I think that's been a really big thing. I would describe myself as a doormat for many years, and I no longer let that happen. I no longer let people steamroll me. I'm not afraid to, like, I'm not someone who likes confrontation, but if someone's doing something not cool towards me, I'm like, hey, that's not cool. Don't. I won't accept that. I've become much better at setting boundaries, which I think is really huge for me. So that's been a really big thing, but also just learning that I can be by myself and I can thrive by myself. You know, I was in a partnership for 15 years. It's a really long time. I think over the years, I would see myself getting smaller and smaller and smaller. My thoughts, my goals would get smaller and smaller and smaller. And now, like, one of the words I use a lot is limitless, unstoppable. That's how I feel. I truly believe that I can do anything that I want to do. And I believe that anything I put my mind to and I work hard at, I will make it a success. I believe in myself so much more than I ever have, because I have seen everything that I have overcome in my whole life. Not just my marriage, not just these past few years, not just moving, everything that I've overcome my entire life. I am one strong bitch, and I will get through any obstacle that comes my way. It might be hard, it might be difficult, but I have the utmost faith in myself that I can get through anything. Not to say that life's challenges won't bring me down and they won't be painful, but I know that I will get to the other side eventually. And I think that that's a really, really big thing. I have seen how much sharing certain things, such as the divorce, such as moving and starting over, and now more recently with infertility, I have seen how much that touches other people, especially other women, and it just reaffirms that I'm on the right path and I'm continuing to do the right thing and what I should be doing. And like I said, I just have a ton of faith in myself. I know that I can do whatever it is I want to, whatever it is I put my mind to, whatever it is I work on. I can do anything that I want, and I truly believe that for you. I believe that for anybody, and I tell that to my friends all of the time. I believe in them. I believe so much in them, and I believe if you want something and you're willing to put in the time and the energy and you work for it, I believe that you will be successful, and I hope that you believe that about yourself too. And I hope through sharing the little things that I share throughout the way and throughout the years and in videos and in books and in posts, I hope that you can see that no matter what it is that starts coming your way, you can get past it, you can hurdle that obstacle, and you can be better and make bigger and better things from it. I really believe that. This gloss says it's gold dust, but it honestly kind of looks a little more silver to me. I thought it'd be a little bit more like champagne gold, which maybe I thought would match my eye look a little bit better, so I don't know if this totally goes with the vibe, but you know, that's fine. It's really pretty. Ooh, ooh, smells good. We'll end on these two questions. Are the constant tourists annoying, and is traffic terrible? Traffic really isn't too bad unless you're going on the strip or downtown on like a weekend, or if there's an event. That can be a little bit difficult, but just kind of getting through like where I live and stuff, not having to go on the freeway, it's really not bad. Are all the tourists, you know, annoying? Not unless, once again, I'm on the strip or downtown and I'm by a bunch of people and it's like, oh, it's just like overwhelming. But really tourists don't come out to my area, so I really am not having to deal with a lot of people. Again, unless I'm having visitors or something like that, and then I'm around other people, it's really not too bad, but I mostly just stay in my own little bubble, and that's about it. So it's not too bad. But after that, this is the final look. I actually really didn't mind the Rare Beauty Tinted Moisturizer. The first couple times I didn't like it. I think you need a small amount of product, and I actually like applying it with a sponge. I don't think that looks bad though. The LYS Concealer, I've been enjoying. The e.l.f. powder and the NYX, like my two new products, those really are some of the standouts for me in this video. Like, I can't believe how good my brows look and how easy it was. I've been liking the Dose of Colors palette. The one size I really liked when I first was trying it out, but now sometimes I feel like I get kind of patchy bronzer, or like it's not blending as smoothly. I don't know. Still gonna keep trying this, but I'm kind of a little bit on the fence because I feel like the last few times I've used it, I feel like it doesn't blend as easily as it once did. The Laura Mercier blushes, excuse me, applying them with the sponge I think makes them a lot smoother. The Ofra highlight I think is just beautiful. Those have been really, really stunning. The Saie Mascara has been working well for me, and I like the Essence lip products. I'll keep trying out that gloss for sure. But other than that, that is it for today's video. My little life update, what I've learned the last year living in Vegas, answering some of your questions. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you do have any other questions for me, just leave them in my comment section, and I try to respond to as many people as I can on all of my platforms. Also, thank you so much for your support throughout this past year. It's been such an enlightening year, such a tough year, but such a supportive year and a supportive time from so many people in the Sam squad, and I will be forever grateful for that. So thank you so much, and as always, if you enjoyed this one, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I hope you also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.